No, you are making a glutton out of me. How do you make this?
This is really good. What's in this?
Actually, I got it off the side of a corn checks box.
Really? I have to try that. This is delicious. Take two. Hey, can I ask you guys something? I mean, you all have kids, right? Jenny's kids have been... No, wait. Our kids. Our kids. I'm still getting used to that. Our kids have been saying some really weird things lately. Is that normal for kids? Okay, so I know kids say weird things sometimes, but... Okay, so like the other day, Sheila said...
From the moon.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I guess it's not that weird. But after that, Mikey said this.
Take a black cat, peel off the skin of the bones, and you chew on the bone. You'll be invisible.
Now that's weird, right? Like, that's not just me, because I think that's super creepy. And then after that, he said this.
You find some people, and you chop off their hands, and you throw them in the fire, and they burn forever.
Oh, what the hell is that about? I don't know, I mean, maybe I'm just making too big a deal about it? Okay, so it's not just me? Alright, yeah, Jenny's kids are fucking weird, man. Hey, what's up, guys? How's 2022 treating you so far? Too early to tell? Yeah, I agree. Hey, but at least the Earth hasn't blown up yet, right? So, we got that going for us, which is nice. Well, I imagine a good number of us recently spent some time around our family for the holidays, so I figured it'd be a good time to check out parents. Also, side note here, isn't it crazy how when you get around your parents after you've been out of your home for a while, how easily they can annoy the shit out of you? I mean, it's like they're talking and they're saying something and it just brings you right back to being a kid and then telling you what to do. And they have no idea. They think everything's fine and you're just like, okay, yeah, I got it. Anyways, Parents is about a suburban family in the 50s where the kid suspects that his parents are cannibals. It came out on January 27th, 1989 and runs for 82 minutes. It stars Mary Beth Hurt as the mom. You might recognize her from Bringing Out the Dead and The World According to Garp. Playing the dad is Randy Quaid. You've probably seen him in a number of things, including Kingpin, Independence Day, and Bugbuster, but a lot of us probably recently saw him in one of his more famous roles.
Shitter was full!
For those of you unfamiliar, that's Cousin Eddie in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And playing the son, Michael, is Brian Madorsky. Absolutely nothing else for him. It was directed by Bob Balaban, who is someone that I've seen in a lot of things, including Close Encounters of the Third Kind, A Mighty Wind, and Best in Show, but I never knew his name. Also, this is an interesting movie, you know, I mean, some of the stuff they put in it is definitely a little weird. You'll see what I'm talking about later. If you're ready to get told what to do, let's get into the movie that is Parents.
Elbows off the table, Michael.
We start off on a serious note with this black and white pic of a little kid. It kind of sets the mood for the movie. It's serious, but not at the same time. Then we cut to suburbia, and remember what I talked about the Skycam tech they used on the opening credits of Candyman? About how it really was the smoothest shot of something like that you had seen? It really was an upgrade because this is what these shots looked like before that. All jumpy. Anyways, we meet the family and find out they just moved. And the music is very fitting here.
Hello?
Michael?
And I totally love this house. I mean, I would want an actual garage and not a carport, but mid-century modern architecture? Man, that's my jam right there. Anyways, we see that they're just an average suburban family, and the parents like to cook. And this is a good time to say that there are some scenes in this movie where they get creative, shall we say, with the camera angle, and also just some weird stuff too. I mean, some of it is justified, but others not so much, in my opinion. We find out that little Mike is a little afraid of the dark, so his dad tells him,
You can be yourself in the dark.
but then he also says,
There's one dark place that we have to be very careful in.
I mean, he's not wrong, but it's still a weird thing to say. Also, they did a really good job with the music in this movie. I mean, it plays a really big part. Then we get a random POV shot of Mike getting carried to bed, just kind of out of nowhere. After checking for monsters, Mike jumps into bed and this happens. So this is kind of a theme in this movie. Apparently this is a nightmare, but there's no signifier that it's one, except that it's some crazy shit happening, you know? And they don't actually show Mike waking up. We then get this neat scene transition through into Mom making food, and there's also something off with Mike, you know? He's a little weird. 90% of this movie, he acts like somebody just kicked his puppy. While talking about his nightmare, Mike says,
It was a mistake moving here. Ow!
Foreshadowing maybe? Or not, I don't know. Could go either way. And as he's watching his dad, he does this. Is that normal, or does he just not like his dad? Let's keep watching the movie, Keith. We'll find out. Okay, alright, fair enough. They head down to the cellar, and we see that his parents have a lot of wine. Now, I personally think wine is disgusting, but, you know, some people are into it, I guess. And the ominous music continues, paired with the lighting. It sets a good mood.
We'll have more time to spend together.
Cut to Mike starting school, and we see that there's one other new student who was held back a grade, Sheila. And when asked to share something new, Mike says this.
Take a black cat, peel off the skin of the bones, and you chew on the bone. You'll be invisible.
Like I said, Mike's a little weird. Also, that right there is why kids creep me out, you know? They say some weird shit. After school, Mike and Sheila get to know each other better, where Sheila says,
I was left back. For what? Doing things.
right before sharing where she's from.
Where are you from?
I'm from the moon.
And Mike seems to believe her. I mean, I guess he's a kid and he doesn't really have logic to go off of much, so that's fair. And I'll admit, she does make it sound pretty good.
On the moon, you can eat whatever you want. Nobody tells you what to do.
Also, she talks like a real adult here, which also really weirds me out, actually.
I ask a lot of questions. I like that in a man.
That's what I like in my man. Ugh, you're like 7 or 8. Or 12, I don't know. I don't know kids' ages by looking at them. I really have no idea. Seriously though, how awesome is this house? I really want to live there. And add a garage, but still live there. And throughout the movie, there's a bit of tension between Mikey and his dad. Almost like they don't know how to be father and son with each other. At dinner, we find out that Mike doesn't really eat much, especially meat. When his mom checks on him later and explains how their heating works, he says he knows a way where they don't have to buy gas ever again.
You find some people, and you chop off their hands, and you throw them in the fire, and they burn forever.
Seriously, Mike, I mean, what the fuck, man? Chop off their hands? And his mom doesn't even react. So apparently he says enough random, weird, crazy shit like this that it's just become commonplace for her. Mike can't sleep, so he heads down the hall and sees this.
Thirsty.
So he's scarred for life now. At school, he's asked to draw his family, and while going over it at home, his teacher is a little concerned with his drawing, which leads to him getting called in to talk about it with this lady, who they say is the school's psychologist, but they credit her as the social worker. She's a little scatterbrained as well.
So, I had a... Oh my god, I dropped my cigarette. Almost started a fire.
When asked about Mikey, his mom says,
Oh, yes, he's not much of an eater.
and as for what he and his dad do together,
That's hard to say. I would have to say many things and just leave it at that.
we see his dad works here, which is a great generic name. Apparently Dad is working on something to destroy jungles. Not noble work. Cut to Mike watching Dad cook, where his dad shares,
That's smart. It's good to watch. But you know what? Other people are watching you.
he further explains,
Don't let them. First law of survival.
you know, he's got some really weird nuggets of wisdom he's passing along to his kid.
It's the next best thing to being invisible.
Also, that meat looks awful. Mike is introduced to Miss Dew, the psychologist, where she shows him some drawings to see what he sees. And then Mike gets lippy.
You're not a real doctor.
And then talks some more shit.
You're not a real grown-up.
And the fact that he's smiling while saying it would piss me off even more. Not a real grown-up? Huh? I'm not a real grown-up? Yeah, well, you're a real bastard. Oh, and you're adopted too. So there. Yeah, how do you like it? We see that his dad's work has human cadavers they use for testing, which transitions into this scene. And as Mikey's watching from the closet, the sausage starts to move. I'm gonna be honest here, I thought for a second that I'd change the channel to some hentai. But I think that's not the case. At least I really hope not. Okay, I'm actually really starting to get worried that I shouldn't be watching this, and I definitely should not be showing it to you. Okay, good. Well, I guess it's just to show how big of an imagination Mike has. At dinner, Mike asks,
What are we eating?
Leftovers, honey.
Leftovers from what?
From the refrigerator.
and not getting a satisfactory answer, asks again,
I'd like to know what they were before they were leftovers.
Leftovers to be?
but he still decides not to eat anything. He can't sleep again, so he heads downstairs and we get random black and white before this awesomely creepy scene. Then it just gets weirder from here. Like, I get that it's a dream, so it doesn't really have to make sense, but come on, man. I mean, what's going on here? After coming home from school, Sheila's waiting for him, and for some reason, they go inside and start making a big mess. Before Sheila gets into the wine. Hey, I mean, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? She hides, and Mike finds her in the freezer, where she blackmails him to take off his shirt.
Please get out.
No, 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 no. I will if you take off your shirt.
Again, I don't know that I'm really comfortable with this here. And then he joins her before his dad comes home. Later that night, Dad tells him a story about a little boy about Mike's age.
We thought he was better than everyone else. So he played where he wasn't supposed to play, and
He also
he destroyed other people's private property. He only cared about himself.
and the story ends.
He grew up to be a very lonely, unhappy, self-centered little man.
Mom thinks that the story is scaring Mike, and Dad refers to chapter 4 of my book and tells Mike.
Am I? Oh, well, mister, you scare me too.
He also adds in,
You don't look like me, you don't act like me, you hate me.
That's just good parenting right there.
Well, you know what? I'm not so crazy about you either.
And this is definitely where things take a shift between Mike and his dad, you know? No more pretending like everything's all hunky-dory. Cut to Mike talking to crazy Sheila, where she says,
How do you know what your father really does all day?
she also offers up this theory.
He could be in jail and the guards could let him out at night so that he could go home, see his family.
So Mike pulls a reverse escape from Alcatraz to see what his dad does all day. But for some reason, he ends up making it all the way to the cadaver area, and his dad just so happens to make it there too. Mikey hides while his dad starts cutting up a cadaver. He drops his scissors, and Mike grabs them for some reason, and while his dad is distracted, takes off. Oh yeah, well I'm sure he's never gonna notice that his scissors is missing from the floor. Walking home, Dad comes by and gives him a ride with what he says is the laundry in the back. When they get home...
Do you know what our dinner looks like?
Could you help me get the laundry out of the car?
So this is where Mike starts to suspect his parents are eating people. You know, he tries to cover up where he got the scissors from, but Dad isn't buying it. And rightfully so. And we see that there's a little bit of a rift forming between the parents.
And their lips get stuck together permanently.
I don't think that's true.
I think it is.
We get another dream sequence that's a little weird before Mikey wakes up and heads down to the cellar. Once down there, he finds his leg hanging out, and when he runs back upstairs, Dad is there waiting for him. But luckily, he thinks Mike was just getting a snack. It's also hard at this point because with how much they blur the lines on what's a dream or not, it's really hard to tell if anything is actually off with his parents. Plus, with all the crazy shit he's been saying, this might all be in his mind. Oh, maybe actually he's in a mental hospital and there are no parents. Or maybe everyone's actually already dead. Yeah, definitely one of those though, I think. We see Mikey talking to Miss Dew and she suggests that he was just dreaming as well. She asks him to remember the dream and we see something that may or may not have happened. Who can tell at this point? She drives him home and she follows him inside, and while inspecting the cellar, they come across a random body in the window, which doesn't really make sense. Either way, it's followed up by a weird but kinda neat sequence. Which leads us to seeing someone's coming back home. Dew has to break out of the cellar, and as she's looking for Mikey, she gets trapped in the pantry, then this happens. She's able to dodge the knife for a while this happy little tune plays. She gets out of the pantry and Then we see the parents grilling. I wonder if that's Miss Dew. I mean, I'm pretty sure at this point we know it's Miss Dew. I'm just trying to, do something there. As they're coming back inside, Mikey grabs a bat. Just wails them. As they're coming back inside, this fucking clocks them. As they're coming back inside, Mikey grabs a bat and takes out his dad for a minute. And when we get back, okay, it's just whack. It's funny to me. I know it's not supposed to be funny, but it's really funny to me. Okay, where were we? Oh, yeah, okay. As they're coming back inside, Mikey grabs a bat. Yeah, okay. And takes out his dad for a minute. And when we come back from a blackout, we're back at the dinner table. His dad starts telling a story. And again, the rotating table is an interesting choice that just doesn't really seem necessary. His dad unties him and tells him,
"Shout your little secret to the world. They'll come here, they'll burn us."
So they go to eat as a family, finally, and we find out that his dad started the appetite in the family.
I'm sure you'll acquire a taste for it. Your mother did.
I learned to love it.
And as his dad is trying to feed him, this happens. Understandably, Dad gets pissed and decides he's done with Mike.
We'll have another one, Lily. We'll bring him up right.
See, and that's the beauty of it. You can just make another one. The first one doesn't turn out, scrap it, make a new one. As he's taking him down to the cellar, Mom stabs him, but he stabs her back and she dies. Dad goes around the cellar for a while looking for Mike until finally he collapses under his wine collection. Irony, maybe? Mike runs out and the house burns down. We see that Mike has ended up at his grandparents', and after they tuck him in, we see they left him a little snack. Oh, okay, so it's his dad's parents' house. No, that's too bad. And the movie ends. And now for some fun facts. Real kidneys were used in the frying pan scenes. Not human, of course. Or were they? No, they weren't. They shot this in 7 weeks. The title for the German release was Daddy is a Cannibal. Doesn't really leave much to the imagination, but it's kind of catchy. Apparently, there are no laws in the US making cannibalism illegal, except for maybe Idaho. I'm seeing a little bit of mixed information about that place. But otherwise, yeah, not illegal to eat people. Just so we're on the same page, if you put a plate of ribs in front of me, I will eat the shit out of them. So, should you watch Parents?
I'm not exactly sure.
I'm actually on the fence about this movie. I mean, the acting is pretty good, and the music sets the mood very, very nicely, and the plot is unique. I like how you don't actually know what's happening, or if it's just a dream of Mike's, or if it's just his perception. Like, when you're a kid, the way you perceive people is way different. So, like, Mikey's parents could have been just doing totally normal adult things, but he thinks that they're evil because his perception is off. It's not bad, and if you don't mind a slow burn without a lot of actual scary things happening, I'd say check it out. I'll put a link in the description where you can check it out for free, at least when I recorded this. In my last review, I looked at Silent Night, Deadly Night, so you should check that out as well. I'll put a link up somewhere. I think it's here. Yeah, I guess that's gonna do it for today. So, I mean, unless you guys have anything you want to talk about. No, I mean, I didn't either. Yeah, no, I'm busy. I'm always so busy. So, yeah, well, thanks for tuning in. I hope it continues to go smooth for you this year, and I'll catch you next time. Whack!